that look? Sexy?
Sexy, pretty sexy, man. I wish the GoPros was like robot clothes. You work up sort of thing like looking at you. Alrighty, we are here with Jean-Philippe from St. Lucia.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please call me Jean.
Jean, will do.
Whenever someone says Jean-Philippe, I just feel like I'm in trouble with my mom.
Yeah, I was going to say your mom. Okay. So like I said, I had some awesome interviews for everyone. I definitely wanted to show this at least to Nick. I couldn't find anything online about Nick, and this was the only thing I saw. Some girl on Twitter freaked out when he followed her on Instagram. Okay, so obviously you've had a few different members in the band. How did your current members come together, and how have you progressed since the beginning?
Well, so the band, has been more or less the same since we started playing live. Like, we had a different drummer for a couple of years. His name was Nick Brown.
Okay.
And he left at the beginning of this year, and kind of like he had his own project, and now just to be able to still play, he's actually playing the parts as well. But yeah, so we basically, like, I was developing St. Lucia in the studio, and it came to a point where it was like, oh, okay, so now I have like 5 or 6 songs that kind of feel like they're in the same world and are kind of ready to be played live, kind of thing. And I started reaching out, to try and find players. And Nick Brown, our original drummer, was the first guy, and we started working with him in the studio. And then after a few months, like, he introduced us to Ross, the guitarist, and bass player, and then Ross introduced us to Nikki, the keyboard player, and Patty, the keyboard player, she's my wife. We've been together for like 12 years, so so I mean that was kind of like a no-brainer. Even though we hadn't really like been in a band together before, it was like, well, that makes sense, because you always sang on the record and did back vocals and stuff like that. And then once Nick left, we auditioned a bunch of drummers, and Ross and Nikki were really good friends with Dustin, who's now a drummer, and he's just like filled the audition.
Okay. Yeah, no, one of the questions I had for Patty was, when I was reading some of your initial interviews when you guys were sort of starting out, she was just complaining how she's always hanging out with 3 guys and you guys are never getting any time alone. Has that changed now that you guys are, making a name for yourself? Are you getting different hotel rooms and stuff? Are you still all staying together?
No, I mean, like this tour has definitely different from our first bus tour. So what's really cool about touring in a bus, there's upsides and downsides. The really good thing is that you wake up and you're like in the city that you're playing, so you have like the whole day free pretty much, apart from the sound check and the show. So it's really cool because we can just wake up and go and like do our thing. The downside is we're sleeping in separate bunks every night, so we can cuddle before we sleep, but it's like way too small to actually sleep together in. So like I'll go to my bunk. But then on off days we'll have like our own hotel room. But I think for her it's just like being surrounded by guys, and guys can be like messy.
Yeah, of course.
I feel like she feels like she's always like cleaning up after everybody, and she'll like leave notes for everybody like at the sink, like, guys, please like clean up after yourself. And then someone will jokingly write a reply without putting their name on, like, girl, you better enjoy washing up after, or something like that. It's like, yeah, she like a lot, it's like super long.
Okay, so obviously you talked about is it the Drakensberg Boys Choir? I know you talked about that a bunch. Just a brief overview. I know you played with the Ladysmith Black Mambazo Boys. How did that sort of come together? Were they famous at the time?
Yeah, I mean, this, I guess they got really famous because of Graceland, Full Time with Graceland. And, when the choir that I was in, when we were performing with them, we basically, it was sort of, I was there between 94 and 98, 1998, and yeah, I mean, it was definitely huge at the time. It was like, wow, we're performing with the ladies with that part.
Yeah, no, when I saw you said that, I was like, wow, that must have been incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty amazing. Like, we had, one of the most amazing memories that I have from that time was, so it was like the South African Air Force's 75th anniversary, and basically, hey guys, do you mind speaking now? And what they did was they flew the whole choir, and I think it was the ladies who got my mother as well, up to the top of this mountain, and we like performed for Nelson Mandela up there, and like all these other people just like on top of this mountain. It was insane. There's photos online. If you search Rock the Boys Choir, like South African Empress 75th anniversary kind of thing, you can see the photos. It was like we had one day of rehearsals.
No, we'll
They blew us up, and they took us down, and they like took us and it was, yeah, there's actually a video as well.
That's also good. So did you get to meet Mandela and everything?
Yeah, I've been to a couple. Well, I have. I met him a couple of times. You know, when he was still alive. You know, just like the big sort of national days or whatever, where we were hired to perform. Like we, did you ever see the movie Invictus?
Yeah.
So that first like Rugby World Cup game that was played, like we performed that. We like sang the national anthem, and he was there as well. It was like we had like a few of these like amazing.
No, I've heard you. I saw in another interview you and your wife were hanging with Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
How was that?
I mean, that was you know the school that I went to, Liverpool Performing Arts in England, started up with McCartney, and it was like his like, what do you call it here? Like elementary school, or like secondary school, or whatever you call it here. And it sort of fell into disrepair over the years, and he came back at some point and was like, oh no, my school's like, blah, blah, disrepair, and decided to turn it into like a performing arts academy or school or whatever. So we went there, and one of the things was that in your final year, if you're a songwriting student, you got to take private songwriting classes. So I had like 20 minutes of basically me and Paul McCartney in a room, and you know, I had to like pick one of my songs to play for him. And at the time, like, you know, I've never been, to be honest, like the biggest Beatles fan. Like, I respect them and everything, but they're not like my absolute favorite band.
Breaking your heart over here.
No, that's okay. I've used the little thing.
But I'm not saying I do. It's just like, for me, I think it's like one of those things where I can never like own them, because everybody like loves the Beatles. So to me, it's not like, to me, like, my favorite music is normally when I feel like it's like no one else likes it, or you know, something. But so the song that I played for him was the song that I'd written called "Carry the Weight." I had no idea there was a Beatles song called "Carry the Weight," and so I like played him the song, and he was like, "Oh, carry the weight." That's familiar. But he like really liked the song, and yeah, we had like a good chat, and he played me a song that he was working on, and made a suggestion in my song. I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. So now I have like a song that's like written by. So I know that the boys' school that you went to was all Christian. Are you still practicing all your Christian beliefs? Like all the schools in South Africa, most of them are like Christian. They're just normally like the better schools, or like the schools that connect to like policy or And then what? How was the process of getting into the Liverpool School of Music? Was it tough? Why did you choose to want to go there? Well, first of all, there's like for what I wanted to do, you know, like contemporary or pop or rock music or whatever. There was no really good school in South Africa, you know. And also, like if you're a band in South Africa, like there's a very small chance that you're going to be able to make a living on. You're probably gonna have to do something else. Like, nobody's really gonna give a shit. You know, it's kind of like a waste of time. You know, unless you have like some kind of global ambition, like the Underworld or something like that. So I just kind of like always had this ambition that I wanted to, you know, be overseas and like really be part of like the international community. And a friend of my mom was somehow in England and heard about the school, and I didn't even look at any other schools. It just came up, and I was like, oh, I'm going to audition for that. And because I couldn't go over, I just made like an audition video. Because my mom is actually she used to be for most of her life a documentary filmmaker. Like she would make nature documentaries and stuff like that. So she made this like really professional like audition video, like with me being interviewed, and in between like at the time I had hair like Mark McGrath, like crazy, like Boston tips, like hair, yeah. This I mean, this is ages, but yeah, when I watched that video this year,
So obviously everyone asks you about St. Lucia, where the name came from, whatever. I saw in an interview that you had, if you wouldn't have chosen St. Lucia for the name, there's like 5 other options, but I saw St. John and St. Kitts in there. And being from Puerto Rico, I've been to those islands. Have you been and visited? Or are you talking about a different St. John and St. Kitts?
I don't actually know where that came from because that's not really strictly true.
Okay.
So St. Lucia is actually named after St. Lucia in South Africa.
Yeah.
And the other options for names were like, because basically what I did was I took a map of South Africa out because I was frustrated. I was like trying to find a name, and I like put the pen down, and all the other options were kind of terrible. There was no other option really. And like the moment I hit St. Lucia, was like, that's it. It's just like everything made sense because of, like the connotation of St. Lucia. Like whenever anyone thinks St. Lucia, they think of like an exotic place, tropical, blah, So, but I haven't been to St. Lucia in the Caribbean. I have been to Anguilla and Saint Martin, which is what.
Yeah, those beautiful places. No, I thought the name was obviously St. Lucia in the Caribbean, but after doing some research, I had no idea that it was St. Lucia, South Africa.
Right, yeah.
So do you make it back to Johannesburg much?
On and off. The last time we were back, like this year, I've been back twice actually. Like I went back to vacation, right? It's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
I went back at the beginning of the year, and then we did our first South African shows like the beginning of June this year. It's like the first time I'd been back to play in like 12 years, which is like incredible. Seeing my friends and stuff, and my family also live over there. My parents live in Nairobi at the moment. They've been living there for a couple of years. My dad has like contracts up there, but yeah, it's so cool going back and like seeing it.
So, what's South African food like? Are you a fan?
I love it.
Love it?
Yeah.
Okay. What's like a typical?
Well, it's very, South Africa, I think similarly to the States in a way, is a very
Distinct in different regions?
well, yes and no. I mean, it's just a very culturally diverse country. It's like very multicultural. There's like loads of Indian people, loads of Asian people, loads of like black people, there's white people. There's like just all sorts of different people. And there's, I think we have this kind of natural fusion that is kind of South African. It's like somewhere like people came up with this idea of fusion cuisine. Let's like mix these cultures. And I think it kind of naturally happened in South Africa. So like our national dish, I would say, is a dish called Bobotie, Bobotie. And it's
Glad you brought that out.
And it's basically like shepherd's pie, right? So it's basically like curried ground beef with like raisins and almonds there, and like little like bread dumplings, and you have it with rice and chutney and like this like apricot jam, and then so like it's just a very like mixed up, really interesting kind of dish. Yeah.
All right, so I saw some of your big influences. So if you could name off your favorite Phil Collins, Michael Jackson, and Sting songs.
So Phil Collins.
And you're not allowed to say In the Air Tonight or Sweet Me Up.
Those are the two that I was going to say. Baby Don't Lose My Number, or like, I think that's the name of the song. No, Billy Don't Lose My Number. I think that the song is called Don't Lose My Number. Yeah, and Michael Jackson, Human Nature, I think.
Valid.
Even though, I mean, I don't know. I can say one of his words. And Sting, just add Sting, not the Police, I'd say if I believe something.
And so I saw in another interview, correct me if I'm wrong, you said Radiohead sort of changed your life.
Yeah.
Have you gotten the chance to see them live? see him
Never
live
seen them
recently?
live, man. No, I've never seen them live. Never seen them live. Yeah, it's just crazy.
You have to make it out to Coachella or something at some point.
Yeah. We're actually playing next year.
At Coachella?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's really exciting. That's where I saw Radiohead. They were
Really?
incredible.
Man, I've been, because it's like at any time, you know, and I'm not like one of these people that like some band's playing and I'm like, yeah, I get tickets like right now. I just never do that for some reason. And Radiohead tickets sell out like that. You know, so it's like,
So, how did working for the Lodge help your musical career?
well, first of all, it got me to the States, to New York, you know, and it was funny because like New York was like never somewhere where I was like, I'm gonna be in New York, you know, like do that whole thing. And I always, because I was in Liverpool in England and Patty's from Germany, so I was always like, I always thought that I could be like in Europe or something. But the opportunity came up and it was like, we'll move you to New York, you know, we'll like do all this stuff and you'll have a full-time job. It's like, yeah, sure. Patty, so you can answer that question.
Patty, I got a question for you! I'm Sam, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So let me just finish real quick. So, yeah, so you know, that basically got me to the States, and then I think just the fact that it was like such a high pressure music making environment, and I was like forced to write in genres that I would never normally have written in or wasn't really that interested in, and I kind of sort of took it upon myself to like really try and like study what they did to create those genres, you know, and that kind of like really opened me up to like synthesizers, just all sorts of different sounds. Yeah, I mean, I think it was like actually a really big part of creating like the initial sound. All right.
I mean, we were going to bring you gummy bears. We forewarned John. I know.
How did you know?
We know everything. And then the last one, which I sort of already asked John this, but we saw in previous interviews that, you know, you were sort of complaining how you're always hanging out with three guys and they're messy and you never get your time alone. How has it changed?
Actually, what I just did.
What did you do?
I cleaned the box.
You was telling us how you like to leave little notes.
I just like read with the whole thing. Pick up some dirty underwear. And make it bed.
Yeah, but I had to put it in the back because Roche was sleeping.
I like all nice. No, it's just me. I think I'm weird. I grew up with three brothers, so I know what it's like. Well, I have two sisters, so I'm like, you know, I'm the messy one in my family. So that's it's just a little hard to fit with boys, but they're actually really good. They know.
Dude, our bus compared to like other buses.
The other day, I heard like Dustin and Ross and they were like, came back.
Safe zone, right? Tell me a little bit about your top 3 Miyazaki films.
Oh man, you guys gave me top 3.
I couldn't say one.
Definitely Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind. And then third one.
I read a whole Time magazine article on it, so.
It's really bad. It's tough because I feel like I'm not gonna say Spirited Away because I do like Spirited Away, but like I don't know. I feel like there are a lot of films that are underappreciated. Like Porco Rosso, I think is really underappreciated. And I really like it. It's like it was the least like fantastical movie, but it's just like everything that's expressed in that. His new book is incredible as well. What's it called again? The Wind Rises.
Sort of switching topics. How is it being signed? I see you guys are signed on Columbia and Neon Gold. How do you feel it is being signed on like such a large record label as opposed to a smaller record label? Have you noticed any differences? Did you just immediately get signed to Columbia?
Well, we started out on a label called Heavy Rock Music. That was like the first label. That was just like a small label. I don't know if you know the band Mox.
Yeah.
They own that label.
Yeah,
And,
one of your band members had a relationship with
well, yeah, Nick Brown, who I told you about. Yeah, doesn't play with us anymore, but Ben from Knox is his cousin, and he like showed him music, and Ben loved it, and we got to talking, and then we signed like this small deal with them, like kind of a single deal, and then Neon Gold heard about it, like, like, so you know Lizzie Plappender from Miss Mr. Her and Derek Davies own Neon Gold, and they heard about it, and they had this like they just signed this deal with Columbia to like release like albums through Columbia Records, so like they got the whole thing going, and then we signed this like joint deal between them and Columbia Records, and they're no longer actually with Columbia Records, they've moved to Atlantic, so now we're basically just on Columbia, but like they're still kind of involved in some way. It's a little confusing. But you know, I feel like in general, like compared to a lot of the horror stories I've heard other bands having on major labels, like Columbia's been amazing. There are like little things that sometimes happen, you know, like just the fact that I feel like everybody at major labels are just overworked. You know, they have tons of shit to deal with, tons of bands to promote, and you know, and definitely some just like fall by the wayside because they're not doing as well as like Time, or they're not doing as well as like Sam Smith, or they're not doing, you know, whatever. So there've been moments where it's felt a little bit like that, you know, but I think in some ways it's worked to our advantage because I feel like we're like a little bit like the underdogs, you know, in like our scene in a way, like Time just like exploded, Church just exploded, like a few other bands, like Capital Cities just exploded, and we're kind of like building our fan base and our reputation, I think, a lot on our like live show, you know, and I feel like that's a very solid base to kind of like build your career on, as opposed to just having like one song that becomes like a huge hit and then like you can't follow it up, you know. But yeah, so I guess my answer would be like, it has been really great in a lot of ways, and I don't think we'd be where we are without them, but they're a major label, so you know, we've all heard the story.
Yeah. So can we expect a new album this year?
Not this year, but hopefully next year. Hopefully next year.
Hopefully next year.
Okay. We have a lot of new stuff, and you know, once the tour is over, we'll be like probably getting into the studio.
And then something I like to ask everyone that we interview.
By the way, the table.
Oh, my table. Anyway, something I like to ask everyone we interview: what's your favorite sort of festival or venue that you played at thus far, anywhere in the world?
Oh man.
Or you can give me a top three.
I'll give you a couple. So, Corona Capital in Mexico City was amazing. You know, just being in Mexico City. Life in Australia was really great.
You're naming things I've never been to.
And then. It was like a day festival in like each city, you know. So you like finish your show and then fly, and it was like, dude, the lineup on our stage was insane. It was like Robin, Chairlift, Tame Impala, Flume. At that point, Flume was like before us.
Yeah.
It was like before he like really exploded. Charlie XCX was with us. So it was like the most amazing lineup. But yeah, that was great. But I guess in the States, we haven't done Coachella yet, so I can't say that. But Osheaga in Montreal was amazing. Like the food at Osheaga is just like unreal. They basically get like some of the top chefs in the whole of Canada that have like some of the successful restaurants, like cater the thing. And so it's like they're like making everything there. Like they're like roasting a fucking lamb. It's like unbelievable. And then Lollapalooza was really amazing.
All right, two questions and I'm done. Do you guys still name all the Spice Girls?
Yeah, we just did this the other day.
I want names, and then I want the actual names.
Okay.
So you guys can switch.
14 is Mel. Is Jerry Halliwell. Oh no, it's Mel B. Mel B is scary. DJ is Jerry Halliwell. Is Emma Bunton. is Victoria.
Nice.
Alright.
Nailed it.
And then last one, just anything you guys want to say to the fans. No, it's like, yeah, I'm like,
You guys look great.
Love you.
alright, thank you guys so much for
Yeah,
the interview.
it's
I really
awesome.
appreciate it.